We doing everything they talk about. You know I'm everything a boss about. Not putting work and gotta toss them out. I'm really biting, they just barking out. I'm really riding, they just parking now. His street, what to talk about. See the big H when I'm walking out.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Base Coverage. I'm your host, Jamal Clay. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, drop a comment. You know, I like to chop it up with you guys, see what you guys think, how everything's doing. So it's media week. We're covering the ELF championship this Sunday in Klagenfurt, the 25th. We have the Vienna Vikings versus the Hamburg Sea Devils. Today, we're going to talk to some of the defensive guys, some playmakers on the defensive side of the ball, breaking down this defensive matchup, while also game planning against the offense and some things to look forward to. So before we get into that, let's hear a quick word from our partners over at Knoah Teamwear. So what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. I brought some defensive playmakers on here to talk some ball, talk about this ELF championship we got this Sunday. We have Mr. William James, defensive back from the Leipzig Kings. Ronley Lakalaka. Did I say that right, brother? Lakalaka. Sheesh, my bad. Ronley Lakalaka, linebacker for the Stuttgart Surge. And then we got defensive end Kyle Kitchesn from the Berlin Thunder. So what's going on, fellas? How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Nice little noonday over there in Europe, huh?
Yeah,
definitely. Well, hey, we got a great matchup coming from all four of us who play defense. I think we can appreciate, you know, both these defenses coming in on Sunday in the ELF championship game. Ronley, I'll start with you on this one. So, you know, Hamburg has been pretty dominant all season long, right? Especially from a defensive standpoint. What is it about Hamburg that they do so well that makes them who they are?
Yeah, I think, you know, they have all playmakers on all three levels, you know, the D-line, starting with the D-line, you know, Edeballer. They had a linebacker and Book, and then they have two DBs, you know, Brown Jr. and the other guy,
Rogers.
Right, tip of my tongue, but you know, those guys are, you know, all three levels, and when you have, you know, all three levels playing at a high level, you get that kind of defense.
Yeah, and they've been, you know, holding teams like they've known how to play. They know how to play in tight games, and they rarely ever get in the shootouts. I think the only real shootout they got into was against Barcelona. But obviously they lost one and won one with that one. But now they're going up against a Vienna team that, you know, may be just as powerful, you know, on offense as well. So it should be, I think personally, it might be an interesting, you know, matchup. The Vikings defense all season has been a bend but don't break defense. You know, and they never seem to, they really never played a team like Hamburg from the offensive standpoint, where you have two guys on the outside that probably run 4-3 and can probably run past anybody on the any corner in the league. But they never gone up against a running back monster like Glenn Tunga. So Kyle, from your perspective, how would you defend an offense if you were Vienna? How would you defend an offense like Hamburg?
First, you got to stack the box. You got to have 8 people in the box.
Yeah.
And then I think you got to tell your cornerbacks to play over the top. But the thing with Hamburg, they do so well is they have Constant, who can run comeback routes, and they got Lamar, who can run slant routes and comeback routes, which is hard to defend if your cornerbacks are playing over the top. So you're gonna have to tell your outside linebackers to get underneath the wide receivers, so they cannot run the combat routes and slants. But then Hamburg added that tight end to it. So now your tight end going up the seam, which you gotta worry about three playmakers besides Glenn at the backfield. Then of course you have to stop Glenn from running the ball. So I guess stack the box. Tell your linebackers to play underneath the number 1 receivers, and then I guess just force Caesar to just throw it to his tight end most of the time. Because if you let Constant get the ball, he can make a play out of anything.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is that I feel like, with Cisse, with that Hamburg offense, at least all season, right? We've all been saying, all right, Cisse got all his weapons. Once he gets used to it, they'll get it going, and they'll get it going. But it never really seems like he got it going. Glenn has been who he was, and the playmakers, once they've got the ball in their hands, they don't. But we haven't really seen like a lot of quarterback play from Hamburg. Hence the fact that they started, Mo Money last week before he got hurt. So it's going to be interesting to see if Cisse, is going to take this opportunity to make more plays, because I think if he uses his legs more, that's going to even make their offense a little bit more dynamic and harder to defend, essentially. But I guess that's something that the Vikings will have to figure out. But if you were on the Vikings, are you dropping the safety down in the box, probably playing, some cover 3, cover 1 just to get that extra man?
Well, the Vikings got a pretty decent D line. They got number 75, one of the biggest D linemen in this league.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure he's going to take on the double teams. So I really don't think you have to drop the safety too much. And then you just tell your linebackers to just flow to the pools, where they pull their guards and everything, just flow to the pools. But of course, you got to watch for Cisse running the ball, which is very dangerous. So if they're pulling, they're creating new gaps. You just gotta tell your linebackers go with the pull, and just tell your backside end or backside linebacker to just watch Cisse running the ball.
Yeah,
and that's why they got a lot of different plays. So you just like trying to read 3 different people, because they do link out their tight ends sometimes to get them yards. So it's a lot that Hamburg offense does that get you like confused if you're not used to high intelligent football. So
yeah,
that's what they do.
Well, they got 2 weeks to figure something out. So we'll see what happens. But as we switch over to the Vikings, so you got Anton Wegman, Xavier Edwards, Jordan Bua, Botella Moreno, Michael Brewer, all these guys on that Vikings offense. Who's going to be, who do you think is going to be the X factor for them that could possibly give Hamburg challenges on the back end?
I like Jordan Bua a lot.
Yeah.
I played against him when he played for Team Italy a little bit. And I don't know. I think he's just got, deceivingly fast speed. He's got good routes, and he's really grown a lot lately as a player. It's like early in his career when I was watching him a little bit, he had a bit more inconsistent with his hands, I thought, but now he's really grown a lot. Like with the Vikings there, seems like he's really figuring it all out. Problem too with all those like talent over there, I played against Kimmy as well, their Finnish receiver.
Yeah.
I haven't done against Michael Brewer, obviously, but Botella Moreno, all of them, they're all really solid guys that kind of pick your poison. If you try and lock in on Jordan Bua, you still got to deal with Brewer, and you still got to deal with Moreno and Kimmy, which are all like solid targets that can catch the ball in any given time. So it's more like, can Ergman actually distribute the ball properly, depending on their coverage? I think, but Jordan Bua is definitely going to be that X factor. What
do you think Hamburg has to do to, keep things under control for the Vikings offense? Because that's out of all the offenses, that's one of the most prolific offenses in the league, and they're real balanced all around. And then if you focus on one aspect of it, then like you said, Jordan's going to take it 90 to the house. So what do you think? What do you think Hamburg has to do to keep that offense intact?
Honestly, I think just relying on their front seven to get pressure in the face of Ergman, so make him throw that ball quick to never let like their speed develop fully. They'll buy more time because you already got athletic guys in that backfield. I mean, Hamburg has a lot of depth in the athleticism. So, getting pressure in Ergman's face and then making him throw that quick, or just, start scrambling around, which he's not very comfortable with, I'd say, they'll put him out of his game more.
Most definitely. This game is all about matchups, right? So, Ronley, talk to me about some of the key matchups for the Vienna defense versus the Hamburg offense. What's one of the key matchups you're going to be watching in the game, at least?
Yeah, I mean, Will mentioned it, Ball versus their secondary, Brown Jr. and Rogers. And so, he's hitting on the dot. He's got to rely on their front seven to get some pressure. on the quarterback for Vienna. And, you know, I think a key matchup would be also Wagan versus Book. You know, having that running game for Vienna had really helped them throughout the season. And, you know, chewing time off the clock will be key, you know, and for both sides and time of possession. And I think, you know, Book, you know, he does a very good job stopping the run. And so I've been watching a lot of him this year. Yeah, man, it's going to be a hell of a matchup. Yeah,
and let's flip it to the other side now. Will, I'll go back to you on this one. What's a key matchup for the Hamburg defense versus the Vienna Vikings offense that you'll be watching?
Oh, I think Hamburg defense. I mean, I would really like to see Justin Rogers getting tested a lot. Honestly, I haven't watched too much of the Vienna offense outside of like what I studied their film a little bit, but mostly, yeah. I just want to see Justin Rogers get some good matchups. Hopefully with Jordan Bua. I'd like that one. That'd be fun. Yeah,
that, you know, probably one of the fastest receiver in the league versus, you know, one of the top 2 cornerbacks in the league the past 2 years. You know, before we get into picks, I'll ask this one to you, Kyle. You know, on either side of the ball, on either team, right? Vikings defense, Hamburg defense. Who needs to have a big game to help their team the most?
For sure, the front 7 for Hamburg. They've been solid all year, I think, and then they're going back to the championship. So I think they're eager to like win it all this time, and I think it's just the front 7. Like hands down, both sides front 7 been pretty solid throughout the whole year. So I think either one of their front 7 is gonna have to have a great game. And then of course their DBs, like you have Justin Rogers, you have Xavier on one side, so I know they're going to have their targets and they're going to have to make plays when they get their targets. But I think it's just going to come down to whoever front 7 is more disciplined, more hungry, and more solid to win this game.
Most definitely.
Xavier.
What is that?
That man Xavier is different. I'll give him that. I forgot. I should have given him a shout out too. Jordan Bua, but Xavier Edwards.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Because they could bring Xavier in, but still do some work with him and Wegman, you know, whether it's play action or some misdirection, stuff like that. So, you know, I think they're gonna give Hamburg a little bit of eye candy, you know, get them thinking a little bit. But that's what's gonna make this matchup so crazy. But hey, with that being said, man, let's I'm not gonna make any picks right now. I'll wait till the end. But let me see who you guys got. So, Ronley, who you got winning this game, man?
Yeah, this is tough. This is gonna be a great game. This is a great game because they haven't seen each other.
Yeah,
all year. Yeah. So that's man. It's tough because I know the OC for Vienna, Coach Mitchell, and so he's gonna do a lot of eye candy, like you said.
Yeah.
But man, that front 7 for Hamburg, like what Kyle was talking about, I'm gonna go with you know, Glenn Tonga taking this home and winning by 3.
Hey,
Hamburg. I'm gonna give it to Hamburg. Yeah.
I don't have a bell here, but somewhere Glenn is back there ringing that freaking bell. Hey, so Will, who you got, man? Who you got?
It's a tough matchup for sure. I think Hamburg's probably one of the most athletic teams, but I think Vienna really showed, you know, how good they are against Barcelona. So I'm gonna go for Vienna. Yep.
Oh,
that's a little Scandinavian thing right there too. So you know, that's a little love for us.
All right, Kyle. It's 1-1 now. Who you got, man?
It's tough. It's tough. It's just it's very tough for me, especially since you know a couple players from both sides of the ball, both teams, especially with Botella. I think Botella is going to be that key factor that's going to put Vienna on the edge. And that's the dangerous key, because if Botella, he's a wide receiver tight end, go off.
He's been hurt most of the season, but he's been healthy the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Everybody fully recovered when they come to the championship.
And he's going against his old team too.
And he's going against his old team.
There's always a little extra.
There's always a little extra. But I'm gonna have to say Hamburg, because I do believe Glenn is gonna go off, Constant, Lamar, and then of course their defense.
Yeah,
it's just interesting to watch their defense play. So I'm gonna go.
Hey, listen, Hey, I'm right there with you. Listen, defense wins championships, so we're gonna see. You know, these are some of the top defenses in the league, but I think the matchup for me is not even a player matchup. It's, you know, Coach Kentrell Ellison for the Sea Devils versus Coach Danny Mitchell, OC for the Vikings. I think that's the matchup I kind of been waiting for all season, but we'll see what happens. But hey, fellas, man, I appreciate you coming on. You know, talking up a little bit. This is gonna be a great game. You know, congrats on making it through another ELF season. Ronley, your first, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, there's 4 more teams at least, so you know, hopefully we get you back over here, man.
Yeah, hopefully they give me like a William James or a Kyle Kitchesn, man.
Man, Lakalaka. If you want to come to Berlin, come on. I'll put in some words.
My guy always out here recruiting, huh? Always business.
Yeah, right.
Don't listen to him, right?
Well, hey, fellas, again, I appreciate y'all coming on, man. Those who are staying over there or traveling, you know, safe travels. This is gonna be a great game. We're gonna watch, but you know, I appreciate your support. And hey, you know, I tell everyone, and I mean it for all my guests, you know, this won't be the last time, you know, we talk at some point. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We just talked to some of the defensive playmakers in the league, breaking down this matchup, this ELF championship game we have coming up this Sunday. Again, don't forget to follow Knoah Teamwear, follow Athletes Forum on Instagram. Enter your chance to win some free gear. Shout out to our Knoah winner today. They'll be getting some free gear on behalf of Knoah Teamwear. So again, continue to tune in throughout the week. We're going to be giving out gear all week long. We're also going to be talking to a number of guests, breaking down this matchup. It's a great one. It's one that's going to be good for the fans, good for the league. 2 teams that haven't faced each other all year. So I'm excited to keep talking about it and talking with my guests about it. So subscribe to the channel, like the video, drop a comment. Let's chop it up.